Welcome to the Commvault channel. In this video we will discuss Commvault security. Please like, share, comment or suggest. Subscribe for more videos, and you can follow us on Instagram. We might not be able to discuss each security aspect of Commvault, so we will pick a scenario and discuss. Let's say, in your environment, you have a lot of Microsoft SQL servers, and you want to restrict the DB team to view only their servers, and authorize them to perform restores-only operation. In this video, we will discuss how to create a client computer group for only SQL servers, create job roles, create Commvault user group, create a SQL user, and align to the roles. Also, we will verify the results. Let's start with creating a client computer group. A client computer group is a logical grouping of client computers. Instead of defining options for each individual client, client computer groups allow you to define those options for an entire group of clients. Right-click on the client computer group. Select New Group. Create New Client Group window. General tab. In the group name, type the name of your choice. You can choose the description, either text or HTML. Enter a description about the client computer group. You can associate client computers to this group, either manually or automatically. Use Manual Association option to manually add client computers to the group. Select the clients seen under All Clients, and move them to Clients in this group. Using these options, use Automatic Association option to automatically add existing or new client computers to this client computer group. The owner of this client computer group. By default, it is master. If you wish to change the owner, then the new owner should have the agent management permission on the client computers. Best practice would be to assign a user group as the owner of the client group, because the required permissions are at the user group level. The client group is not affected if an individual user is deleted or has permissions removed. Rule group displays the list of rules used to create a client computer group that adds clients through automatic associations. For the rule to work, we need to set the operators as needed. This operator searches for a character, string, word or phrase in the client name or operating system name and lists those client computers. For our example, in our first operator selection, let's select agents installed. In the second operator, let's select any in selection. In the third operator, select agent type, SQL server. You can add more than one rule using the plus button. Use the minus button to remove a rule. If more than one rule is defined, then you need to select a match, which could be all, or any, or not any. Add rule group creates a rule group. Preview displays the client computer groups that will be added to the folder, based on the rules that you defined. Advanced Settings tab. SQL Agent Authentication. The options below allow you to provide a valid user account to access the SQL server, to perform backup and restore operations. The Override Higher Levels settings helps to override the account settings, configured at various levels. Use Local System Account as the default option, which means the Windows account configured to run the CVD communication service is used by the system to perform all operations, including backup, restore and browse. Using Impersonate User, you can enter a username and password for the Windows user account that has permission to perform backup, restore and browse operations. The user account must already be set up on the client, and must have local administrator privileges, and be a member of the SQL sysadmin role for the SQL instance. Web server displays the web server computers that you can associate to the client computer group. Application Manager node. Ideally, the Application Manager service runs on the Commvault. The Application Manager service provides access to server and client configurations for local and remote processes. You can offload the Application Manager service by installing the Application Manager node package on a different client, and then configuring a computer group to use the Application Manager node client as the Application Manager Services host. Key Performance Indicators, KPIs, helps you to configure options for reports. SLA, Service Level Agreement, options allow you to configure the time range for the SLA percentage that appears in dashboards and reports. You can select one of three. Use COMCEL level settings is the default setting. SLA for last 10 days, specify the time range for calculating SLA for the clients in this client group. Exclude from SLA, allows you to exclude all the clients in this client group from SLA calculations, in dashboards and reports. Below are the options that are used for SLA calculations, in dashboards and reports. Activity Control tab. In this window, you can enable or disable backup, enable or disable restore, and enable or disable data aging, for this client computer group. You have two additional options to configure here. Allow jobs to run past operation window. Use this option to allow running jobs to continue to run when the operation window starts. Without this option, running jobs are put in a waiting state when the operation window starts. Queue jobs if other conflicting jobs are active. Use this option to queue the scheduled jobs when the operation window start. Without this option, scheduled jobs are not started and are marked as failed to start as another job is running. Security tab. This tab provides the assigned user group with their roles. User or user groups displays the names of the users and user groups who have permissions on this group. Role displays the names of the roles that are associated with the user or user group. Defined in lists the COMCEL entity where the security association is defined. We will discuss about them in a bit. Owner permissions helps to assign permissions for the owners of clients in the client computer group. Include inherited associations lists all of the inherited security associations that affect the entity. Click Add users and groups window. From here we can either add or create security associations. We will discuss about this window as well in a bit. Additional Settings tab. In simple, this is the place from where you apply registry keys to this client computer group. Click Add Additional Settings window. From here you can find the additional setting you want to add. Scroll down through the list, or use the lookup feature to locate the additional setting. Data Loss Prevention tab. Periodic Document Encryption helps to configure the data loss prevention, in other words DLP, automatic scanning and locking settings. Enable data loss prevention for these documents. Lock following contents. The paths to documents or folders added to this field will be locked according to the data loss prevention scan settings. Use these features to add, edit, or delete the paths. Skip following contents. The paths or file extensions added to this field will never be locked during data loss prevention scans. Use the lock options to configure scan settings. Rescan DLP contents every n minutes. Defines how frequently the folders added to the lock following contents field will be scanned for new or unlocked content. During the DLP scan, newly created items or unlocked documents will be locked. Auto-protect documents that are more than n minutes old. Defines the amount of time before recently created or modified documents are locked during DLP scans. If a new document is located in an automatically locked folder and was created or modified n minutes before a DLP scan, it is not locked. Use the unlock options to configure how files are unlocked. Allow backup server to unlock documents. Allows or enables the COMSERV software to unlock files before backups. This option will also allow the user to open locked files without entering a passkey, unless marked device as lost or stolen is also selected. Enable automatic unlock. If selected, end users can double-click to open a locked file. Secure Erase tab. This tab allows you to configure the data loss prevention automatic document erase settings. Enable secure erase. Securely erase selected documents after the client stays offline for more than n days. Defines how long a client must be offline before the files specified in there. Recursively erase the following contents field are erased. Recursively erase the following contents. The paths to documents or folders added to this field will be deleted according to the secure erase settings. Skip following contents. The paths or file extensions added to this field will never be erased by secure erase. Storage Device tab. You can view and select a storage policy from the available list of storage policies. You can use Create Storage Policy button to trigger the wizard to create a new storage policy. Pay attention to the notes. Filters tab. Use this window to add Windows and Unix filters to exclude files and folders from backups at the client group level. Use group filters on all sub-clients. Enable the option to apply the filters to all of the sub-clients in the client group. Job Configuration tab. Enable job throttle for the client computer group. Exclude immediate jobs from being throttled. All application command line jobs and Commvault console jobs run with the immediate option are counted as immediate jobs. Use this option to run a backup without waiting for the queue to clear, even when the job limits have been reached on the client. When this option is set, scheduled jobs are the only jobs throttled. Data threshold limits the number of data backup jobs that run simultaneously. When the maximum number of simultaneously running jobs is reached, new backup jobs submitted for the client are queued and run when current running jobs are complete. Default value is 1, but change it as desired. Log threshold limits the number of log backup jobs that run simultaneously. When the maximum number of simultaneously running jobs is reached, new backup jobs submitted for the client are queued and run when current running jobs are complete. The default value is 1, but can be changed as needed. Click Network. Network properties for client group. Network route configuration. Configure network route settings. Enabling this option allows you to configure one-way or two-way firewall settings. You can either use basic or advanced to configure the firewall settings. If selected basic, select the suitable option from Commvault Connectivity tab. Select the appropriate option from Media Agent Connectivity tab. Select Advanced. On the Warning tab click OK. You can now configure Advanced Firewall configuration. Network Throttle tab. Enable network throttling will help you to throttle network traffic for clients, client groups, and media agents, thereby helping to limit the network's bandwidth usage. By default this option is disabled. Remote clients or client group allows setting up throttling between the selected client and other clients or client groups. All clients share allocated bandwidth. If selected, then allocate each client or client group. You select an amount of bandwidth equal to the total available bandwidth, divided by the number of clients and client groups, to which this rule applies. Throttling schedule allows setting up a schedule for throttling to take effect. Please note, throttling schedule uses the time zone of the computer at the throttle's origination point. VPN config tab. Commvault provides virtual private network services to enable controlled access to resources in your private network. Commvault VPN services operate under the VPN router and VPN client model. The VPN client allows you to establish connections with a private resource, while the VPN router controls the VPN traffic between the VPN client and the private resource. A private resource is a computer, server, or any TCP/IP device in your private network. Remote Client Access tab. The Remote Client Access feature allows a client computer to access remote services running on another client through a Commvault tunnel if required. Each of these protocols can be enabled and configured on a client or on a client group, so that other clients can access services that the remote access client offers via those protocols, such as remote desktop access. Please note that this capability requires Commvault software running on the participating clients. Once done, click OK. Client computer group is successfully created. You see only one client with SQL agent installed. Let's proceed with roles. Expand security. Click roles. These are system-created roles. You can utilize them if needed. For this video, we will create a new role for SQL DB admins, with only restore capabilities. Right-click on the roles. Select New Role. New Role window. Name the role of your choice. Type some descriptive information about the role. Permissions tab. Below are the operations available to add to the role. We cannot discuss each of the operations. For a list of permissions and their definitions, please go through documentation link provided in the video description. You can give all permissions. Let's go ahead and give restore only permissions. Expand client. Select suitable permissions. Let's give them some alert permissions as well. To see only selected permissions, enable show only selected option. Enabled is selected by default, which means the role is enabled. If cleared, the role is disabled. Disabled roles cannot be used to create security associations. We do not wish this role to be visible to all. Associations tab. It shows the list of security associations that use the role. We will associate when he creates user group. Security tab. It shows the list of users or user groups who are assigned to the role. We will add it in a bit. Click Add. We have seen this window before. Once done, click OK. The role is successfully created. Let's create Commvault user group. Right-click on Commvault user group. Select New User Group. New User Group Properties window. General tab. Type the name of the user group. Type a description of the user group. Select to enable the user group. To disable the user group, clear this checkbox. Please note, when you clear this checkbox, the associations and the Commvault resources for this group were unavailable to the members of the user group. Enforce file system quota is to limit file system backups for clients, that is, to disable the data protection when the quota exceeds the value specified in there. Disable data protection when quota usage exceeds box. Enforce edge drive quota is to limit the amount of space that a user can use on their edge drive repository. Disable upload of new data when edge drive quota exceeds. Enter the limit of space to disable the upload of any new data. Age password in end days. Once end days reached, your current password will expire. Members tab. You can associate the users by moving them from available members to associated members. We will associate a user in some time. You can create a new user from here as well, and this user can then be associated to the user group. Associated Entities tab. Let's add an entity. Click Add. From the list of entities, expand Client Computer Group. Select the group we just created. From please select a role drop-down menu. Select the role we created. Once done, click OK. You now see the entity listed. Search tab. Here, you can specify the Commvault users and user groups whose data can be searched. Users whose data can be searched. Enter the Active Directory or Domino Directory usernames whose data can be searched as domain/username. User groups whose data can be searched. Enter the Active Directory or Domino Directory groups whose data can be searched. Additional Settings tab. We have already discussed this tab. Once done, click OK. The new user group is successfully created. Let's create a new DB user. Right-click on Commvault User. Select New User. New User Properties window. Username is the name that you want the user to type when he or she logs onto the system. The username can be up to 32 characters and should not include spaces. The password that you initially assign to the user. The password can be up to 32 characters and should not include spaces. Retype to confirm password. The full name of the person. The user's email address. Some descriptive information about the user, or you can put the ticket number under which you are creating the user. Enabled shows the user account is enabled, and the user can log on to the Commvault console and utilize all assigned rights. If cleared, the user account is disabled, and that user cannot log on to the Commvault console. Age or expire password in N days. If not selected, then the user password never expires. Inherit user group quota settings. The quotas set for user groups inherit the user as he or she is a member. Enforce file system quota. If selected, causes file system backups for clients owned by this user to be limited by the quota you set in the next field, that is, disable data protection when quota usage exceeds. Inherit user group edge drive quota settings. Select this option to inherit the edge drive quota setting for the groups the user is a member of. Enforce edge drive quota. If selected, then it limits the amount of space that a user can use on their edge drive repository. Disable upload of new data when edge drive quota exceeds. Enforces the quota option. User Groups tab. Move the user group we created from available groups to member groups. You can create a new user group from here as well. Associated entities. Let's add the entity as we did before. Additional Settings tab has been already discussed. Once done, click OK. The new user is successfully created. Let's review the security settings on the created client computer group. Let's log in using the new user credentials and verify the restrictions. Launch new Commvault console. Log in using the newly created DB user credentials. Apart from self, no other user is visible to her. Under Client Computer Group, she sees only one group with only one server, as expected. The client server is a media agent as well, so she sees the server listed here. She cannot see the libraries configured in the environment. She cannot see the storage policies configured in the environment. She can see the default system-created roles, but the custom role we just created. Let's check if she can start a backup. Her permissions are limited, so she cannot start data protection jobs. We will end this video here. Do subscribe for more videos, if not already done so. Do subscribe for more videos.